Good morning, Councillor. Good morning, officers.
Yes.
Morning to members of the public that have tuned into this meeting this morning. Councillors, I welcome all of you. We will just have to do a roll call first before we can start our meeting. I will just have to put my camera on. Good morning, everyone. I will start with the roll call before we start our meeting. And I start with Councillor Bester. Councillor Bester. Can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Speaker.
Yes,
Speaker. Let me move Councillor Bester. Maybe it's not connected. Yes. Councillor Crowns.
Yes, Speaker, I can hear you and I'm present.
Thank you. Councillor Davis.
Madam Speaker, I'm here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mayor in waiting.
Madam Speaker, let us never jump the gun, eh?
Councillor Bester, I can see you.
Thank you. Sorry, I couldn't get into the meeting, but I'm in now.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bester. I'm also here, everyone. Councillor Quinana. I hope you're not in the dark today. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It was present.
I just see something moving in the mist there. Councillor Lopes.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Madam Speaker. I am present.
Councillor Maketa.
Good afternoon, Speaker. I'm in attendance.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Matika. Are you muted? You're muted, Councillor Matika. Can you unmute yourself? Morning, Councillor Matika.
Sure.
Thank you. Councillor Matiwana.
Speaker, I'm here, Speaker.
I see
Morning,
you,
Speaker.
Councillor Matika. Yes. Councillor Matiwana. Okay, Councillor Naki.
Mbonile.
Present, Speaker.
Ikona speaker.
Speaker and corner.
Thank you, Councillor Naki. I can also see ShopRite. Councillor Matiwana.
Ikona speaker.
Put on your camera.
Ndifakile speaker andiyazi kwenzeka ntoni. Ndibetha technology speaker kule phone.
Maybe you're in the bush. Councillor Nezu. Okay, Councillor Nezu is trying to connect. Councillor Opperman.
Councillors.
Morning, Councillor Opperman. Councillor Sabah. Can you just put off your camera, Councillor Opperman, Councillor Sabah?
Good morning, Madam Speaker. Or good afternoon. Present. Thank you.
Afternoon, Councillor Sabah. Councillor Salase. Councillor Salase. Okay, Councillor Salase is also trying to connect.
Speaker. You
Morning,
see me,
Councillor
Speaker?
Salase.
Yes,
Yes, I can
Speaker.
see you.
I am in. Thank you.
Councillor Skosana. Councillor Susana. Councillor Strubel.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, Speaker. Speaker, I'm present.
Afternoon, Councillor Strubel. Councillor Tsengwa.
Yes, Speaker. Speaker, good afternoon, everyone. Speaker, I'm present. I'm present, Speaker.
Afternoon, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Chokolo.
Madam Speaker, I just want to apologize for him quickly, man. He's struggling, you know, they had power outages, so his Vodacom is not picking up, but he's keep trying until he can link in to the system.
Okay.
But I'm just sending you that apology. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Van Asberen. Mayor.
Speaker, how are you? Good afternoon, all councils and officials. I'm here.
Afternoon, Mayor. Councillor Weideman.
I'm here, thank you.
Afternoon, Councillor Weideman. Councillor Wolmerans.
Councillor Speaker, I'm here, but I'm just going to change devices now, but I am in the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We couldn't get hold of Councillor Susana. Councillor Nezu is still trying to connect on his phone.
Speaker.
Yes, Councillor Matika.
Speaker, Councillor Skosana sent an apology. He might join us late. There's a crisis in OPAT that is with housing, so they are dealing with that crisis so that the N2 cannot be closed. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Shalani.
Thank you. Acting MM, can you just introduce in the meeting of the directors? Councillor Nezu, I can see you.
Speaker.
Yes. Afternoon, Councillor Nezu. I see you. Acting MM.
Good afternoon, Madam Speaker and the councillors. I am present in the meeting and I will let the directors introduce their presence. The only director that is not present in the meeting is Acting Director, Human Settlements. He is handling an issue at Hlalani, but he will join the meeting once he is done addressing that matter. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, MM. Director Infrastructure, I can see you here.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Director Infrastructure present in the meeting.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Speaker. Director Community Services is also present.
Thank you. I can see Director Planning, your hand is also up.
Good afternoon, Speaker. I'm present in the meeting, Marlene Boyce.
Thank you. Can I just maybe have the other officials just put their hand up for me, legal? I can see Ms. Paulson is in the meeting. Communications in the meeting, Mr. Besaidino. Madeline Botha is in the meeting. Tracy is in the meeting. Carl is in the meeting. Chairperson of the audit committee is in the meeting, Mr. Prince.
Thank you, Speaker.
Afternoon, Mr. Prince.
Ray Barrel also present.
Mr. Trump is also in the meeting.
Ray Barrel also.
Mr. Bering, thank you.
Yeah.
Afternoon, Mr. Barrel.
Belinda Bam for the Audit Committee. Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon, Ms. Bam. I think we can continue for now. Councillors, let's go to our main agenda. The item that's on that main agenda. We now on item number 2 have already done the opening and welcome. Can we then go to point number 2, which is a silent prayer for now? Um, 3.1, thank you. 3.1, councillors present. 3.2, councillors absent without leave. There's none. Sorry. 3.3, councillors absent with. Sorry, other way around. Was councillors person must leave is Councillor Skosana that is going to join us a little bit later, and Councillor Luzuko. Councillor Skosana, I see your hand is up.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I'm still on site with housing. I'll join later. Thank you to render my apology to the other councillors and directorate. I'm with the Directorate of Housing, Petuna, Poshia, and Mr. Wali. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Skosana. And Councillor Luzuko is also still struggling to connect. Then we can go to point number 4, noting of the provisions of Code of Conduct for councillors. Point 5, disclosure of interest. Anyone want to disclose, Councillor Lopes?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm just disclosing my interest in the in-committee matter. I will be recusing myself for that. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Councillor Lopes. Executive Mayor.
Thanks. Just going back to the Code of Conduct, Speaker, I just want to draw Council's attention to 6.1 through you, Speaker, and I'm going to raise as an urgent matter at a later stage, a point which I need to raise, very, very important. But I just want to remind Council 6.1. Chair, then also on that issue, I need to find out to you and to our legal advisors in this institution. How does this meeting that we're currently sitting in, which is on Teams, change from the privilege of councillors when they are attending a meeting within the council chambers? Speaker, did you hear me?
Yes, Mayor.
Because my knowledge is that councillors within the council chambers have certain privileges. And I need to find out whether the change of that environment, does they change those privileges of councillors when they have meetings on Teams?
Maria, I will give to legal, but I think my personal opinion on the issue of meetings on Teams, that you as a disciplined councillor that also know your code of conduct of councillors and the way we conduct ourselves within a council meeting must also apply when you're in a virtual meeting, because that is important. We are dealing with very sensitive and very serious issues of the lives of our people out there. So the only thing that we can do as councillors is to respect that and to show them that we are committed to what we are busy doing here. From my side, I feel that that's supposed to happen. But I will give to legal And I've been trying, I've been having a problem for a very long time of these virtual meetings, Mayor. And I think before we started, even there is a circular that came out how we should conduct ourselves in these virtual meetings. Ms. Paulson, over to you through the acting MM.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I think that you have answered the Executive Mayor. The rules of order adopted by this council remains in force. The manner in which councillors are to conduct themselves during these proceedings remains in force. Councillors adopted additional rules when it comes to virtual meetings when the lockdown commenced in 2020. Now, the rules of order has not been suspended, neither has its applicability been suspended. Similarly, Mayor, the Privileges and Immunities Act that affords certain privileges and immunities to councillors has also not been suspended as a result of the lockdown. So those pieces of legislation still finds application, and the Speaker has correctly indicated that all councillors are still bound by the Code of Conduct and the rules of order adopted by this council. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Ms. Paulson. Mayor.
Speaker, no, thank you very much. I just want to make sure that council understand that concept, and I think Melanie touched on the privileges, the rights of councillors, which they have worked in the council chambers, and that is applicable within this scenario where we have this virtual meeting also. I just want to get to that point to understand that that is all those legislation and privileges are still applicable. Chair, so therefore I will then at the end of this meeting just want to raise on that specific issue and point of exigency. Yeah, thanks, Speaker.
Thank you, Mayor. Then we on point number 6, new matter submitted by the municipal manager, supposed to be by the acting municipal manager. Then we on 6.1. Councillor and also see the manager of the IDP in the meeting. Acknowledge you, Charles.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Charles. Councillor Kraus.
Are we still in the meeting?
Yeah, Councillor Weideman.
Oh, goodness.
Councillor Weideman, this is your name on the list.
That's the game. That's the game of politics, my chief.
So the councillor, I had an issue here with my speaker. Let me just put it, been talking here. Can you hear me now? Councillor, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Apology, I had a problem with the speaker here. I was talking and there was no sound there. Councillor Kraus, I see your hand is up.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I would just want to recommend, Speaker, propose that we remove item 6.1 of the agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Crouch. I will agree that we can postpone the Councillor Tsengwa. Sorry, then Councillor Matika.
No, Speaker, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Speaker, I just wanted to second the proposal from Councillor Crouch. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Matika and Maya.
I withdraw my hand.
Maya.
Speaker, thanks. I just want to get clarity. When Councillor Crouch stated that it should be removed from the agenda, what does that mean? Going to be discussed at a later meeting, at a later stage?
I would say so, Maya. It will be discussed in another meeting.
Can I get an idea, Chairperson, because it can become difficult?
Okay.
When we said in another meeting, at the end of the month or when?
Maybe it's Councillor Crouch would make the proposal. Will she ask for it, Councillor Crouch?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I'm asking to remove the item so it can come back on another time before the expiration date of the item.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Crouch. Councillor Davis, I see your hand was up.
Don't agree.
Madam Speaker, if I could just get some reasons on why would it, what is the point of that? It is here, so we might as well make a decision on it now.
Councillor Deputy Mayor. Deputy Mayor, is that an old end?
No, Speaker, it's an old end, old end.
Thank you, Councillor Bach.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The appointment of Mr. Adonis terminates on the 12th of September, which is on Sunday. We have very little time to deal with this matter again before that. So we've got tomorrow and Friday. So it means that we have to call a special council meeting, which makes no sense. There is no time for it. So to me, this matter needs to proceed. It's a matter of urgency. We need to attend to the appointment of an acting municipal manager in the period. We have no time for this to be delayed. So I would like an explanation, please, from Councillor Crouch. Thank you.
Councillor Crouch? Do you want to answer, Councillor Sabah?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I think I've put a proposal on the table, Speaker. It was seconded by the GM, Speaker. I don't think I need to give Councillor Sabah any explanation. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, councillors.
Madam Chair, may I have a follow-up, please?
Yes, Councillor Sabah.
My apologies. I lost my connection when Councillor Crouch made her proposal, so I never heard it. So I had to reconnect. So if I would ask her, please, if she would kindly repeat what her proposal was, so I'm fully informed. Thank you.
Councillor Davis.
No, Madam Speaker, once Councillor Crouch repeats it, I just want to say that is that now you received the proposal and the second, so now we're going to vote over such an item, which
no,
I think is
so. We need to
no,
vote,
because we
Davis?
want to proceed with this item. I mean, Speaker, it's 12 on the 12th it finishes, so we don't want to sit without the MM.
I don't think that will happen. We'll have to have another day to have this item discussed. But councillors, I still need to agree on the removal of the item, Councillor Skosana.
Thank you, Speaker, for recognizing me. We are a council of council. We can have a meeting over weekend as well. We said we want to serve the people anytime. Councillors of the team must not panic here. We can have a meeting over the weekend as well. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Weideman.
Well, if that is the case, Speaker, we are making a proposal that this should go ahead and it should go to the vote. I really believe that if you are not prepared to give us an explanation why this has been taken off, we either need an explanation or we have to go to a vote.
Okay, Councillor Weideman, do you want to vote on it? Councillor Zuko, is at hand that you are back, you are in the meeting now?
Yes, Madam Speaker, thank you. Good afternoon. I'm in the meeting, Madam Speaker, finally.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Did you
Speaker,
follow up?
I want to second what my colleague Councillor Weideman has said. So it will obviously have to now go to a vote because we don't agree with it.
Okay. Councillor, councillors, there are now two proposals on the table. The one that we remove the item from the agenda for a later date to discuss it. The other one is that one must be discussed today. Can I start with Councillor Zengwa? Deputy Mayor? Deputy Mayor, your hand is up. It's an old hand.
Speaker, sorry, man. I don't know what's wrong with my what to call. Speaker, just 1 second. I'll come back now. You can just can you just move to second person? I'll come back, Speaker. Just a second.
No, you're the only hand. It's Councillor Weideman is old hand, and Councillor Weil, I think that's old hands. We on the issue of the withdrawal of the item, Deputy Mayor. It was seconded by you. And then there's another view that we must continue with the item, and it was seconded by Councillor. It was proposed by Councillor Weideman and seconded by Councillor Weil. Can we go ahead? Councillor Meyer?
Speaker, through
Yes,
you,
ma'am.
would love to ask for caucus.
Yes, ma'am.
I need to caucus with my constituents on this issue.
Okay, 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
5 minutes, fine, Speaker.
Okay, thank you. Granted. Raise your hand. Or is it an old hand? I think it's an old hand. The mayor.
Speaker, no, my apologies. Speaker, we had difficulties in linking up for caucus. I therefore need another 5 minutes because there's something wrong with the connection here. Kirsty
Oh,
told
okay.
me. So we need an extension just to get clarity on what's happening with the connections here.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Speaker.
Granted, Mayor. Maria, are you still connecting? The note of the mayor.
Speaker. Speaker, can you hear me?
Yes, Mayor.
Speaker, yes, thank you very much. Now, Speaker, I had discussed it with the relevant people that I need to discuss it with. I just believe, Speaker, that the proposal of Councillor Crouch, in my knowledge, is acceptable if it is connected to a specific time frame. Because, as quite rightly said by other councillors, that we're heading for a legal situation if by Monday we did not appoint a acting municipal manager. And it's for that reason, Speaker, I would love Councillor Crouch, with her permission, to amend her proposal, if that is permissible, through our procedures. That could be guided and assisted by our legal department, whether I could do it that way. But that said, we withdraw this item, Speaker, to a subsequent meeting not later than Friday. Thanks, Speaker.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Crouch.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I agree that we can we withdraw the item and we bring it back no later than Friday.
Thank you, Councillor Crouch. Councillor Waiterman, your hand is up.
Thank you, Speaker. I stand by my proposal that we need to carry on with this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Waiterman. Mayor, is it an old hand? Mayor, is it an old hand?
Speaker, yes, there's an old hand.
Okay. Councillors, we've got now that Councillor Sabah.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If I may ask legal to give me an answer to a question, I just wanted to know what are the legal requirements with regard to the notice periods of calling a special council meeting, and are we not going to be out of time? Thank you.
Out of let me just maybe ask, out of time for calling the meeting or out of time for appointing?
Sorry, Madam Speaker, let me just clarify.
No, I'm asking out of time for calling the meeting or out of time for appointing?
Well, it would be both. Out of time for calling the meeting. We are Wednesday already. How many days do we need to call a special council meeting? And if the days are 3 or 4 or 5 days or whatever it is, we may be out of time because the appointment expires on Sunday.
Okay, Melanie.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Councillor Sabah. Rule 5. Just a second, I'm just scrolling up to find this here. Rule 5.4 of Council's Rules of Order. The municipal manager, or in his or her absence, a person designated by the Speaker, must give notice to each councillor and to the public of every meeting at least 5 days before such meeting, except in the event of special or urgent meetings of council. I trust that answers your question, Councillor Sabah.
Thank you, Councillor Melanie.
Thank you.
Councillor Weideman has now stick with a proposal that we must discuss the matter now. Councillor Krauts has made a proposal that we must have this meeting no later than Friday. Can we then now go to the vote? Councillor Bester.
Madam Speaker, I vote for my colleague Kathy's proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Krauts.
Thank you, Speaker. I stick to the proposal of removing the item.
Thank you. Councillor Davis.
Madam Speaker, I vote in support of Councillor Weideman's proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. I'm voting for the item to be discussed on a date not later than Friday, proposed by Councillor Krauts. Councillor Kwinana.
Yeah, Besilana no Katie. Proposal ka Katie Weideman. Enkosi Speaker.
I can only hear your voice. I can't see you, but it's fine. Councillor Lopes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm voting in favour of Councillor Weideman's proposal that the matter be dealt with now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Maketa. Councillor Maketa. We'll move Councillor Matika.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I support the whip of the ANC.
Thank you, Councillor Matiwana. Councillor Matiwana.
Did you support the ANC?
Councillor Naki.
I support my chief whip.
Thank you, Councillor Mezu.
Yamba no chief whip. Speaker, you hear me? Yamba no chief whip. Yes.
Councillor Opperman.
I support the proposal of Councillor Krauts.
Thank you, Councillor Sabah.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support the proposal of Councillor Weideman and the matter must proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Selase.
Speaker, I support the chief whip of the ANC, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sosana.
I vote with my chief whip. I'm behind Claudine, in front, in the corner of Claudine, all over Claudine, Speaker. I'm with the ANC.
Just put your camera on for us. Thank you, Councillor Sosana. Councillor Strubel.
Speaker, yes, I'm going with the proposal of my colleague, Councillor Kathy Weideman. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tsengwa.
Yes, Speaker. Speaker, can you hear me?
Yes, Deputy.
No, Speaker, thank you very much. Speaker, I'm voting for the proposal of Councillor Krauts that we deal with this issue on Friday, not later than Friday, Speaker.
Speaker, I'm supporting the proposal by Councillor Weideman that we deal with it now.
Thank you, Councillor Van Asbjørn Meyer.
Number 5.
Speaker, thank you very much. Now, Speaker, I think the Deputy Mayor was quite clear, and I'm on the same path that he is supporting the withdrawal item, Speaker, until not later than Friday. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Weideman.
I stay with my proposal. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Boelmerans.
Councillor Weideman, ekskuus tog, ek was op mute.
Thank you. I just hear Councillor Weideman. I assume you were supporting the proposal coming from Councillor Weideman. Councillor Maketa? I'm coming back to you.
Speaker, yeah, I support that we move the item until Friday, not later than Friday.
Thank you, Councillor Maketa. Carl, can you give us the outcomes of the vote?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The outcome of the vote is 12 votes for the proposal of Councillor Crouch, which she later amended, and 9 votes for the proposal of Councillor Weideman, seconded by Councillor Davis. The resolution by majority is thus that the item be removed from the agenda and be resubmitted on or before Friday, 10 September 2021.
That's not later than Friday, not before.
All right, not later on or before is the same, but not later, we will do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Councillors, we are moving to 6.2. The lease agreement, Nyanza Municipality and Masakana Business Corporation. I just need to find out from Melanie. There was also something sent by Son. Melanie?
Yes, Speaker.
I said there was also something that was sent by Son and Associates on this item.
That is the legal opinion that they have sent, Speaker. It is addressed in the opinions by Advocates Tele and Cohen.
Okay.
Their opinion is that the termination of the lease on the basis of change in partnership is not valid. That is what Son and Associates have submitted. Our advocates have considered their position. Although they are in agreement with that, they have submitted that there are 3 other reasons that in terms of the lease, council may safely terminate the current lease agreement, and that is their recommendations. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Anyone else on the item? Can I just ask from legal? I'm trying to get this other I received the other thing that you sent me in an email, and I'm not sure that you also send them their response to other councillors.
Sorry, Speaker, which response is this?
I received an email, I think, from your office that came from Son and Associates. I'm just asking, was that email also sent to other councillors to be part of this discussion?
That is contained in the like I said now, Speaker, that their attorneys responded to our termination. I can't pull up the agenda now, it doesn't want to open up. But I think we have attached their letters, or it's part of it is definitely considered in the opinion. Again, the long and short is, and this is what we have consulted with the advocates on, where the mayor and the ward councillor and Councillor Crouch was present, is they are saying we cannot terminate the lease. This is now Mr. Son. They dispute the validity of the termination notice that we have sent to them previously, that the termination is based on the change in partnership. That is what Mr. Son's advocate's opinion has said. We have sent their advocate's opinion to our advocates who have considered that, although they agree with their opinion that we cannot simply terminate the lease on the basis of the change in partnership, they state that we are able to terminate the lease on other grounds.
Okay. Ms. Lopes?
Thank you, Speaker. Madam Speaker, there was indeed a letter written by Son and Associates yesterday that I was actually forwarded a copy of, but I don't believe it has been distributed amongst the councillors, wherein I believe, as far as I recall, he addressed he responded to the opinion, and it might just be advisable for that to be circulated amongst the councillors. That is not part of the pack that we have received. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Ms. Lopes. Also, that is what I was asking, was that circulated to councillors so that we can put it together with what's in the document here. I've seen the hand of Councillor Bach and the Mayor and Councillor Krauts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yeah, first of all, I just wanted to confirm that that letter has not been circulated, which Melanie Paulson has referred to, so we would like a copy of it. Secondly, I would like some confirmation with regard to the outstanding amounts that are payable. There is indication that in the documentation before us that the rent was paid, but that services have not been paid. So if I could have some clarity on whether the rent has been paid, and what is the amount on page 13, the 132,000 Rand that is outstanding? Is that inclusive of rent, or is it just on these services? If I'd have clarity on that first before I proceed, please. Thank you.
So, Speaker, sorry, my hand can't raise. My hand didn't want to raise. I've checked my electronic mails now. I am not in receipt of a letter from Son and Associates responding to the opinion that we have received, Speaker. I don't know if they sent it to the office of the acting municipal manager, but I have just checked now. The only correspondence that I had is the letter from Son and Associates on the opinion, and that is Annexure B. That's the letter I have. So sorry, I have no knowledge of the letter that Councillor Lopes is referring to.
Councillor Krauts and then the Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. I would just now want to ask that since Councillor Lopes has such privileged information, Speaker, does she have any interest in this item? That the councillor is the only one with this privileged information and other councillors not. So I would just like to know, is she a person of interest that she has got this privileged information? Thank you, Speaker.
Mayor, before I give to Councillor Lopes.
No, I think I need Councillor Lopes to respond because Speaker, my question was probably from another angle but into the same direction. So let me rather hear the response of Councillor Lopes, and then I will, if necessary, I will then ask my question again.
Councillor Lopes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. No, I have no interest in this matter at all. It was simply sent to me, as they know I'm on council. Having gone into the email that I did receive, I see it appears to have been sent to you, Madam Speaker, and it appears to be the acting MM, or the acting MM. I've just opened it up now, and I think a copy seems to have gone to knysna@knysna.gov.za. So I've seen, I have had sight of the mail, but I have no interest in it, and they're not clients or anything of that. I'm personally of the opinion that the lease should be terminated, but that's beside the point, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Councillor Skosana.
Speaker,
Thank you,
no,
Speaker.
then I follow up now.
Okay, let the Mayor first go, Speaker.
No, yeah.
I have a follow-up.
Before you continue, Councillor, I actually raised it in the beginning because I have also received this email. I went to the acting municipal manager, Mr. Adonis, and the Speaker of Knysna Municipality. That was only two people this email was addressed to. There's nothing that's saying it was also sent to a councillor or councillors. That is why I asked the legal manager, did she also receive this? Because I received it yesterday. That is why I raised it in the beginning of the meeting. Maya?
Speaker, now, in fact, you touched on a very important issue here, because unless we believe that we are serious with the agendas that we received, that our administration, because this item is coming from the municipal manager, so there was a letter that could have had an influence on the decision of council. Speaker, surely that letter should have been attached. At that moment in front of us, even our legal department did not receive such a letter. The information in front of us is quite clear, and therefore the recommendation to us is quite clear. So I'm not in a position to respond to a letter that was written by an attorney, whether it was his opinion or whatever the case may be, and expect me now to have that as a base for taking a decision. It's not in front of us. For that reason, Chair, that I think it was even not necessary to raise that specific letter by Councillor Lopez, because it doesn't have any binding on what we've got in front of us. Unless, Speaker, you believe as the Speaker that that information is so important that it should also be put in front of Council. Thank you.
Maya, I see Councillor Sabah sent. Councillor Skosana was on the floor before he gave to you, Maya. Councillor Skosana.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Speaker of the Council. I think the item got an impact in my ward. I'm so glad that many councillors have got an interest. But Speaker, let me save time. Let's move up. I'm moving for the termination, Speaker, because I know the impact that Sanlam is having in my ward, and I know what Sanlam can do in terms of as a business note for the community in large in Knysna. I move for the termination of the contract of the list of the people. Thank you.
Director Corporate. Acting MM.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to confirm that I checked with the office of the acting MM that this letter that you have, besides the one of the 6th of July, which is attached on the agenda, was indeed sent to the office of the MM. And the indication is that no, there was no letter, but I think it was then addressed to the acting MM's email, which is D. Adonis. So we don't have that, but the PA of the MM is still checking on Knysna at Knysna. But definitely I didn't receive that. We would have supplied it if it was here. Thank you.
Thank you, MM. Sabah and Councillor Kraan, your hands are up.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, I did ask a question that I was waiting an answer for. Of the 132,000 odd that is shown on page 18 on the item before us, does that include the arrear rental, or has the arrear rental been paid and is the amount that's now outstanding of 132,000 only related to services? I would like an answer to that, please, before I proceed in terms of speaking on the item. Thank you.
Councillor Kraan.
Hello, thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I just want to say that this letter that Councillor Lopes has been referring to, that she's privileged to have received, Speaker, and since she doesn't have any interest, how come she then gets a letter? And where is it coming from? And if it's coming from the attorneys on the record of the applicants, then that's also conflict of interest. Thank you, Speaker.
Melanie, I think you must maybe advise us here, because this letter is also also going to do what we on the decision we are going to make.
Speaker, if you, sorry, Speaker, if you are in possession of the letter, if you could share it on the screen, because I don't have it, I don't know what it says. I can only assume, and I believe it would be a safe assumption, that they are warning us against proceeding with a termination or some or other legal action that they intend taking. I have not had sight, so I cannot comment or advise unless I have had sight of the letter, Speaker. I don't know what it says at all.
Okay. I think then in the meantime, while we're trying to put this thing on the screen for you, can we maybe then, it's going to be there now. Maya?
Speaker.
Yes, Maya?
There's one thing that I normally tell people. I don't want to be confused in what's happening here. This threatening of lawyers in this town, Speaker, I think we should start to get used to these things now. In front of us is a well-researched report that came from the office of the municipal manager. If a legal person in this municipality or in this town disagree with them, it's right. They can do that. But it cannot be correct. If the letter, listen to what our legal manager say, that a lawyer can threaten, if you go ahead, that will happen, then that should be the basis for us to take our decisions. If he wants to threaten with legal action or whoever, they must continue doing that. But it cannot be correct, Chair, that we just accept a threat from a lawyer in this town, stating if you continue on this basis, this is going to happen. When are we going to take decisions in this municipality? So I'm concerned about the fact, Chair, that we received letter at a late stage, and now suddenly that letter is going to determine what should decide or not. I'm taking real offense to that. Thanks, Chair.
Councillors, this is a letter that was sent. You must just tell us if we have to move up.
Move up.
You can move, Speaker.
Okay.
You can move, Speaker. Thank you, Speaker. You can move up.
Speaker.
Thank you.
Speaker.
Speaker.
No, thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I don't think it's fair for us for some of us are struggling to read the letter on phones. So, Speaker, I was going to suggest this letter is not an interdict, and it was not sent on time to all of the councillors. I was going to suggest you send a letter to all councillors. You send a letter to the legal. Maybe we move to the next item, and then we come back to this item, so that legal can also read through what is the letter stating and advise us then we take the matter forward. But I was going to agree with Councillor Skosana. We move with determination. But since this letter has been put here, it's not fair on us to make a decision now because we cannot see thoroughly what is stated in the letter. So I was going to suggest, Speaker, that we go to the other item, and then by the time we go to other item, this item be sent to all councillors, this letter, so that we can, legal can also browse through and come back to us with an advice. But I still maintain that this letter is just a letter from attorneys. It's not a court order that is stopping us from proceeding. Thank you very much.
Councillor Weideman.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm just a little bit concerned. I might have heard incorrectly, but the mayor was saying that he's not going to stand that we get threatened by lawyers. Now, I don't see any place where we are threatened. Maybe you could just say, you know, point out where we were threatened. I'd like to know that. Thanks.
Councillor Sabah, is it an old hand?
No, Madam Speaker, it's a hand because I haven't received an answer to my question and I'm waiting for an answer. Please. It's very pertinent in terms of how we proceed.
Ms. Paulson?
Speaker, thank you very much. I have read through the letter. In a nutshell, the attorneys acting for the Masikane Business Corporation is saying that they have had sight of the item and the opinion. They state that the grounds for termination set out in the opinion will result in litigation. Firstly, they don't agree that the opinion is correct, that we could terminate on those bases. They are saying the basis for arrear rentals, they are disputing that. And it appears, Councillor Sabah, to answer your question from the content of their letter, that it is both arrears and services. They state that the services amount is disputed and that with regards to the arrear rentals, the Masikane Business Corporation has made arrangements to pay off those arrears, which the municipality has accepted. They then further state to say that the property is required for municipal purposes is also challengeable, specifically since the municipality in the recommendation indicates that we enter into separate lease agreements with the existing tenants. It states that therefore it's not a municipal purpose, but rather for trading operations. And that they request that prior to council deciding to terminate the lease, that a meeting be held between councillors and their clients. So the mayor, Councillor Weideman, was sort of, he didn't read the letter. I was the one who said that I assume it is to threaten us with litigation. And although not put in those exact terms, that is what they are saying when they say that termination could result in litigation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Paulson. Councillor Sabah, and then the Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Melanie, for that clarity. So, in terms of my understanding now, the amounts that are due and payable in terms of rental and agreement has been reached between the two parties, so therefore that's no longer disputed, but the services amount is in dispute. Now, if that is in dispute, how do we proceed? My view is that, you know, if it's in dispute, the route the municipality should be taking is possibly to serve a summons on them from the magistrates court and proceed in terms of recovering the amounts. It would be a less expensive process if we can get a judgment against the developers with regard to the amount of services that are owing. Then we can proceed in terminating it with little little cost to the municipality. To continue on a protracted basis to terminate the lease where there is threats, or well, it's not threats, it is there that there will be a continuous litigation, which will be a costly exercise for the municipality. I do believe that we as councillors need to be prudent, and we need to err on the side of caution. I think that if the attorneys are wanting a meeting, we can have the meeting, and if the amount is in dispute and we can clarify it, we can proceed with a judgment in the magistrate court, and then on that basis we will then be able to terminate it without any further protracted litigation. So that is my recommendation, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bachmeier.
Speaker, no, thank you very much. And I think thank you to the manager legal services tried to explain to Councillor Weideman my possible reason for that action. Listen, I'm quite capable in responding myself, Councillor Weideman, in that regard. She's correct, I didn't read the letter, so I couldn't actually, and I actually didn't care about that, to be honest with you. So for me, what is important here is that, and I want to re-emphasize that, this issue is now coming for years and years. And the ward councillor in that ward raised this issue more than once. And I'm the firm believer, Chair, that delaying issues by court actions to the disadvantage of a broader community, that should never be the way that any municipality or council operate. Otherwise, Chair, you will never be able to provide any service to a community, because the threatening against you, that there will always be litigation and legal actions. We must accept that is the norm and the way that we operate as a municipality. But the moment this council is starting to be threatened by those actions and then decide how they're going to take decisions, Chair, might be to the disadvantage of the community, I will never support that way. Thank you, Chair.
Anyone else? Whose camera is it? Oh no. Councillor Keter, can you just put off your camera? Councillors? Councillor Keter, can you just put off your camera for us? Councillors, we on item 6.2. And there's a recommendation. Melanie, what would you advise on the issue of Councillor Weideman?
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to second Councillor Shamach's proposal. Thank you.
Mayor?
No, Chair, you asked a question to our legal advisors, prior to Councillor Weideman seconding the proposal of Councillor Sabah. I was going to ask the same question.
Melanie?
Sorry, Speaker, I'm talking to myself here. Speaker, when we consulted with advocates Cele and Cohen, our brief to them was particularly clear, and we have provided them with the information that they have considered. Now, a separate firm of attorneys does not agree with our attorneys and their position insofar as it relates to the matter. I cannot recall the exact paragraph now, but I see in the letter they have asked for a meeting to also consider termination of the lease or some or other agreement. I know that the Masikane Business Corporation has previously requested that this council agrees to cede the lease to another entity which they now wish to establish. Chair, insofar as it relates to what is in front of you, I believe that the opinion that we have received from both advocates Cele and Cohen is sound, and it is well considered. If this council then so requires, we can still resolve to go ahead with the termination of the lease and still engage the people from the Masikane Business Corporation before we take any action or until we send any formal letters in execution. And that council then resolves which councillors would participate in those discussions with them to reach either an amicable, because one can still resolve to terminate the lease and reach an amicable agreement on how such termination will take place, and how the municipality is going to conduct itself with regards to that. And Councillor Sabach, the dispute is on their side. When the documentation at our disposal, we have not seen any dispute from the Masikane Business Corporation with regards to the services charges. It's set out in the letter that is now, that the Speaker has shared with us. Thank you, Speaker.
Councillor Sabah.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In response then to what Melanie has just advised, if the dispute is coming from their side in terms of the amounts that are outstanding, could she please indicate to what extent, if we were to proceed with an item before the Magistrates Court to sue them for the amount, or we get a judgment, that would then immediately prove the amount is due and payable, and that's in arrears, which would then automatically cease or terminate the contract. And surely that is the cheaper route to take, and it would create finality on the matter. There would be no dispute, because the clause, in terms of the clause that is signed, the rental clause, there is a breach clause that indicates that if the amounts are in arrears, the item could be terminated. So let's get a judgment in the Magistrates Court and then get the item terminated. It would be in the interests of the community. It's certainly what Councillor Skosana is wanting, but in order to prevent any protracted legal or any litigation, that would, to me, would be the quickest and the shortest route to take. So if Melanie could give some advice with regard to that, because that is my proposal, and I think that that's the way we should proceed. Thank you.
Mayor?
No, Speaker, my question would be then to the municipal manager, and in this case the legal manager. She would have amend the recommendation to council. What would it be, Speaker? Because she believes that the opinion of the lawyers that we saw is sound, and was based on that opinion. The recommendation on page 6 are in front of us, A to E. So therefore, Chair, through you, if she needs to, based on concerns raised by councillors in a letter, whether she believes that we should continue with the recommendation as it is, or if she's going to amend it, what amendment does she do? Thanks, Chair.
Ms. Bose?
Chairperson, may I suggest, since the letter from SON is now sprung on us, I don't have all of the information that Councillor Sabach is referring to. I don't know whether or not we have submitted previous demands from our Revenue Services Department, which would then sort of make the recommendations of Councillor Sabach moot, because you don't require a judgment to be able to proceed to terminate in the event of arrears. You just somehow need to prove that they are aware of the arrears. I would like to recommend then, Speaker, since we are going to have a meeting on Friday, for the opinion was prepared by Advocates Cele and Cohen, allow the Office of the Acting Municipal Manager to submit the letters of SON, which now disputes or actually calls into question their advices, for them to consider this, and let us bring this back on Friday, since we are going to have a meeting anyways, and we can then also advise on on and sorry, or also consider the route that Councillor Sabah has now recommended, Speaker. That would be my recommendation. Let us send what Sona said now. They are disputing an opinion that was not produced by myself. And let the advocates consider what they have said, and let us tell them that the meeting is on Friday, and if they could consider that. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Vice President. Councillor Chokolo.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, no, for me, I just want to say, may this be a lesson here, Speaker, that when you as the chairperson of this council receives a document that concerns an item that will be discussed the following day, you make it your responsibility that you produce that document so that council can make an informed decision. Because you see now, the document was received yesterday, but councillors couldn't consider that when they considered this item. They only considered what's in front of them. Now we're discussing this, and now Melanie is proposing that it move to another meeting, which is wasting time. I'm hoping that, Speaker, this is a lesson as to say that if there's a document that's supposed to come to council, let it come to council in time. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Luzuko. Let's go then to the recommendation that we are amending the recommendation now. So we put an F. Melanie, can you just repeat?
My hand is up, sorry.
Whose hand is up?
Director Corporate Speaker.
Oh, okay. Director, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am supporting the legal services manager in light of the fact that this particular letter is not in our possession, and council can therefore not be able to take a decision in terms of what is contained in that letter, which I doubt that it will have an impact on our own legal opinion. Be that as it may, I would suggest or recommend to council that this item be deferred to the next meeting, where we will provide this particular letter, and therefore all the recommendations would then stand down, and that council resolves to defer the item to the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting MM. So we agree with the recommendation has been amended.
Speaker, did you see my hand?
Yes, Maya, my apologies.
Speaker, no, I think we shouldn't just leave comments made by councillor that easy. There's no lesson to learn here. You cannot expect council, when somebody just now pick up an agenda and saw an item there and read it, then write a letter to the council and expect that the speaker must now hastily submit a letter to all councillors, which he received yesterday. I think it's unfair. It's even unfair to the administration. The only reason that I agree to this recommendation currently is put forward, Chair, is because there's a meeting on Friday. But I want to repeat, there's no lesson to learn. You cannot on the last minute just submit letters and think that council will take that in consideration when they take a decision. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not in the mood today to argue with Councillor Luzuko, because it will take away some of my energy. Councillor, we agree that Councillor Kraus?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, no one has answered me. How did Councillor Lopes get the letter? That is the question I've asked. Because that is also another lesson that we must then learn, Councillor Tiokolo. I want to know, how did Councillor Lopes get the letter? And if she got the letter from the applicant's lawyer, is that not conflict of interest? Thank you, Speaker. Another lesson.
Councillor Davis.
Madam Speaker, I don't think you must entertain Councillor Crouch. We've moved beyond this point. They can send to anyone. We're all councillors of this council. Any people can send us. The fact is that, Speaker, it went to you and it went to the acting MM, and that's the most important thing. I don't know which hunt Councillor Crouch is on, but she's not going to find anything after that witch hunt. So if you can just move on, Speaker, because there's nothing there. There's no conflict. There's nothing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davis, but I don't think there's it's something that needs to be addressed with professionals here. You know, because I think the problem that we are having in this town is that I don't know, even professionals in these days that we are living in, especially in this council, you know, they are doing unfound things, unacceptable things, because it's not acceptable. That they now decided they can take this letter and send it to anyone. I mean, here we've got a legal department. They were dealing with a legal department from
Sorry, Madam Speaker, there's a lot of interference. We can't hear you properly.
Yeah. Apologies, councillors.
That's much better.
So I think really that to me that's unacceptable for a legal firm that doesn't know where to drop information. That's very critical to this council. That's something that's really unacceptable. And I think maybe Councillor Lodge, you must just tell Son and Associates that as I don't know if you're a lawyer or advocate, that whatever they did is unprofessional and it's unacceptable. And I hope in future they will also learn a lesson not to do it. Thank you, councillors. Can we move to the supplementary agenda? A supplementary agenda. 6.3, the municipal infrastructure grant adjustment. Councillor Weideman, I don't know if it's an old hand, but the hand is just sitting there.
I'm sorry, Speaker. I just wanted to know if what was now actually resolved in the recommendation. Are we just adding on that extra E or F or whatever the case is?
Yes, Councillor. We must come back to the next meeting.
Okay, has everybody agreed upon that? Because
Councillor, Ms. Paulson?
Speaker, sorry, I see the acting MM's hand is up. Perhaps she wants to say the same thing. The recommendation would now be that the report be noted, but that the item be deferred to the meeting to be held on Friday, the 10th of September 2021. Then it won't be a F, nothing will be added, it will be A and B, Speaker. I'm not sure if that's what the acting MM also wanted to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Speaker, that's what I was going to say.
Thank you, acting MM. Councillor Sabah, are you on the next item?
No, Madam Speaker, I just wanted a clarity the same as what Councillor Weideman wanted, and if the clarity is now given by Melanie Paulson and by the Director or Acting MMM, I would be in agreement with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, councillors. We're on 6.3. Can the Director of Infrastructure just take us through this item?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this item is on the adjustment of the DBIB. Normally what we do is throughout the year, normally just after just into the financial year, and normally in December, we make adjustments to the DBIB. At the moment, what we need to do is we need to make certain adjustments to the DBIB, which is our MIG cash flow for the financial year. One of the main reasons that we need to make an adjustment is because one of the big projects, which is the Bongani and the Renendal sports fields, we were trying to get those projects approved. We've managed to get them approved, but they only approved for the new financial year, which is the 22-23 financial year. And that approval has come from Department of Sports and Recreation. So we need to move some money around so that we can be fully committed for the current financial year. If we're not fully committed, what will happen is that it's likely that we will lose the funding. So what we've done is we've reallocated the funding that was available to those projects. And what we've done is we've added an additional 4 million rand to the Northern Areas Roads project, an additional 488,000 rand to the Karatra Roads project, 488,000 to the Renendal Roads project. The Sedgefield bulk water services, at the moment, what we've done is we've reduced that one by close to 1.5 million. The reason being that we are still working on the design for the project. We've got funds that we've allocated from our own funding so that we can continue with the design. So that is ongoing. And the two Renendal and Bongani sports field we've taken off the list, and the Eastford pump station we've allocated an amount of 700,000 rand. So in order for us to be compliant and to spend at least 40% by the mid-year, which is December, we've had to revise our DBIB and submit to the province. So those are the changes we've made, and we're submitting this to council so that we can revise our cash flow and present it to the province. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Director. Is there anyone else on the item? Maya?
Just recommendation,
Speaker.
Can I continue, Speaker?
Maya?
Yes, sorry, I thought somebody was speaking in the back. Speaker, just to make clear to understand that the moving of budget of Bongani and Renendal Sports Field to 2022-2023 due to the recommendations by the Department of Sports and Culture. What does that entail? What does that mean? I just need to understand that. Are you moving that money to the 22-23 budget due to the recommendations by the Department of Sports and Culture? What recommendations did they do or made in order for us to do that? Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. I see the hand of the Deputy Mayor is up. And Councillor Matika, did you also want to say something? Councillor Matika? Councillor Matika? Okay, Director, you can respond to the Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, these projects and the approval for the projects when they're implemented is largely dependent on the sector departments. So the sector departments will look at the registration forms, they will register them accordingly. So we've been through quite an expensive process, and one of the processes that we've looked at is with sports and recreation. They've requested a lot of information from us. We've been through the process, and I think their process for the last financial year has closed already, and they didn't approve that project for this year. So they've only made a recommendation for it to be approved in the next financial year. So that has come from them, and that's why we've had to move that project into the new financial year. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Director. Councillor, is there anyone else on the item so that we can move to the recommendation? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
No, Speaker, thank you very much, man. Speaker, no, I don't have a question. Otherwise, I'm in support, Speaker, with the proposal. In fact, made by the department. You know, we cannot afford to lose any money now, Speaker. Looking at our situation as the municipality, as well as the challenges which we are faced with, you know, issues of development. You know, I'm really in support, Speaker, that after the mayor, we can just go straight to the recommendation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Meyer.
No, I just need to make sure that I understand what the director said. Because of the fact that we could not adhere to the timeframes of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, with all the red tape and all the paperwork that need to be done, that is the reason that we were responsible for that and not they. I just need to understand that, Chair, because my concern is currently to the fact that especially Bongani Sports Club, Chair, it's not a good sight to see. And it's coming for a long time now. And I believe, Chair, that taking into consideration the current COVID and the fact that a lot of our young kids are just roaming around in the street with no facilities, that to me becomes a concern. But as I said, I just hope that it's not because of delay from our side that they took place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Do you need the director to respond, Mayor?
Chair, if he can, if he doesn't, I'll just leave it there. I raised my concern about that.
Okay. Councillors, can we go with the recommendation in front of us?
Yes, Speaker. Yes, Speaker.
Yes, Speaker, let's move.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Councillors, we on point number 7 now. Consideration of motions. Considerations of questions. Consideration of motions of urgency.
Speaker?
Yes, Mayor.
Because I just need to ask a question, Chair. And I'm not quite whether it will end up in a situation where I have to make a proposal or motion, Chair, in that regard. I've submitted, Chair, information to all chief whips of political parties regarding the appointment of the Director of Community Services. Now, Chair, I received, and I love this court case that we might enter into, because it will expose a lot of issues, Chair, within this municipality. But information in this documents provided to me, Chair, is information that I only provided to the chief whips of the different political parties, Chair. So I need to find out, Chair, whether these lawyers or these accountability group that is now taking the councilman to court, where did they get this information? Did they apply for this information through the office of the municipal manager? Or was this information provided to them by one of the chief whips? If the lesser, Chair, is correct, then surely, again, Chair, I want to refer councillors back to what I've raised earlier in this morning when I talked about the code of conduct, Chair. And based on item 6.1, personal gain, a councillor may not use the position of privileges of a councillor or confidential information obtained as a councillor for private gain or to improperly benefit another person. Now, Chair, if this accountability group received this information which I gave to the chief whips of political parties, Chair, then from a councillor, then it was a breach of the code of conduct, and therefore all chief whips should be investigated. But add on to that, Chair, if it was received through a, I'm not sure you call it a PIA or what you call it, where this accountability group submit a request through the office of the MM to obtain such information, Chair, I would like to know whether that was true. Thanks, Chair. That's my question, basically.
Deputy Mayor?
No, Speaker, thank you very much. Speaker, I also wanted to raise my concerns around this legal, this court stuff which we have just received. But I'm sure, Speaker, let me rather wait for the acting MM to respond, you know, because I want to ask a specific question to a specific councillor into this council. You know, I want to, you know, so I think, Speaker, let me rather wait just to hear from what there will be the response the response from the acting MM with regard to what the mayor have just asked. Then if what I'm going to ask is not covered, then I'm going to be forced to be allowed to ask a direct question to one of our colleagues here. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Acting MM.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am not aware of a PAIA request from specifically the accountability group, except for a PAIA request that was received when this appointment was made, and it was from the Knysna Ratepayers Association. As for the group that is now referred to, I am not aware. Maybe the legal manager had got something, but not in this office that we received such a PAIA request. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Director. Mayor, your hand is up.
Chair, thank you very much. Just want to toss on one of the comments which made by the director, the acting manager. Did the Knysna Ratepayers Association, through their prior request, did they then request the information which I've submitted in a closed envelope to all the party chief whips? And was that the information that was submitted to the Knysna Ratepayers Association through their request? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Deputy Mayor, yes.
No, Speaker, thank you very much. Speaker, as I've said that after the acting MM, if what I'm just going to ask is not covered, then I'm going to be forced to ask. Speaker, through you to Councillor Julie Sitten, I just wanted to understand from her, does she have a professional relationship with this company, which is assisting these people to take us to court? This son, what is this people? Son attorneys. You know, I just wanted to understand. Today, is she having a professional relationship with those people? Thank you very much, Speaker. This is a direct question through you to Councillor Lopez or Lopes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Melanie, as your hand is up, and then Councillor Lopes.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I just wanted to respond to the Mayor's question. Mayor, no, the memorandum that you are referring to, that you asked to be prepared for the chief whips, that did not form part of the PAIA application of the Knysna Ratepayers Association. From the top of my head, from some of the documents that they have requested was mainly the letters from MEC Bradell and your responses there too. And the acting MM is correct. That is the one PAIA that we received with regards to this appointment. Then there are the letters from the MEC that you are aware of. And then one further request from one of the candidates that participated in the recruitment and selection. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Speaker. Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Councillor Lopes, I did see your hand up.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, just to answer the question of the Deputy Mayor, as an advocate, I do act on briefs. Son and Associates are one of the firms that do use me. Certainly have not been briefed in a matter involving an accountability group. That I'm not on record there, and I wouldn't anyway be in a position to act against the municipality, which is technically my employer. So it is not a matter that I am on record with. So I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lopes. Deputy Mayor.
No, Speaker, thank you very much. And I'm just so, I hope that Councillor Lopes, that response which is giving me, it's a true and the correct one, right? But nevertheless, Speaker, thank you very much. I just wanted to understand, Speaker, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mayor, I see your hand is up.
Speaker, if what Melanie said, or my apologies, is what the legal manager is saying, that the information that was part of this court application, and that's whatever you want to call it, which I received yesterday to sign for, Speaker, if that information was not requested by the Knysna ratepayers, so that now that the spy and paya, these things are sometimes are a little bit confused. But if they did not request that information, Chair, then the only people that could provide that information is councillors. And it's for that reason, Chair, that I believe that all chief whips, therefore, should be investigated for the breach of the Code of Conduct 6.1. Because they did not have the right to provide information that was for councillors only, to submit it to a group called the Accountability Group. Now that would question in the name of accountability, because it seems to me that the accountability got getting information that they're not supposed to ask in the correct way. That is not accountable, that is corruption. So I could call it the corruption group. But Chair, therefore, I would then say, it's important here that your office, and that has been then my request to you, your office investigate all chief whips that is providing privileged information and therefore is in breach of the Code of Conduct 6.1 of councillors. Investigate them, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. Deputy Mayor, your hand is up.
Mr. President, thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I just wanted to second what the mayor is proposing. That if then that's the case, we definitely, Speaker, need to agree here. Then we, I mean, your office begin with a very serious investigation, with regard to all chief whips, as the mayor is putting, and that must be done as quick as possible, Speaker. Speaker, and I'm still maintaining my position. And I'll say it again. And I just hope Dr. Craig, if he's a doctor. Yeah, Mr. Craig Smith, I hope he's listening. And I'm still maintaining, Speaker, that we are not scared. Because from where I'm sitting, the decision which I've taken, it was a correct decision, Speaker. I to go ahead with that appointment. I'm still maintaining that. Thank you very much. We are going to deal with this thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mayor, is it an old hand?
Speaker, no. I see Councillor Lindsay Davis hands up, so I will probably respond after if you're going to say something.
Who's that?
It's
Yes.
my hand is up, Speaker.
Councillor Davis, yes.
Yeah, I'm so glad these meetings are recorded. I'm still trying to find out where this letter is that was supposedly sent to the chief whips. You recall in the last meeting, I kept asking when is someone actually going to send me this information? So I haven't received it yet. I know that they dropped it off somewhere for me, but I haven't even picked it up because, I mean, I welcome any type of investigation, but I mean, I haven't even received the information from that time. I just also heard through the grapevine, through different people and chatting to people and in the council meetings. But you recall in the last meeting, I said, can I please receive that document because I haven't received that document. So I still don't know where it is. If someone can help me. Last time somebody said they did send it to me, but I don't have it. So just for the record, you know, and you can go back into the other council meetings because it's recorded. I did ask, where is this mysterious document that I'm supposed to receive? I did receive the one with a letter, etc., from Mr. Burdell, which I forwarded to the caucus. But I mean, that's about it. There's not, I don't know what any other mysterious document it is that was sent to the whips. And then we also received I eventually got hold of the one that was sent to one of the resorts here relating to the complaint against one of the councillors so I welcome if you want to investigate, but as I say, I haven't even received the documentation that you are referring to. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Wade. Mayor, are you still in the action or is it all end? Somebody
Speaker, no, I want to respond, but later so that we all finish. I want him also to finish. I want to respond to what Speaker. I want to respond to Laville, but first, please count the quality opportunity.
Yes. No, thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, mine is on the documents that the mayor has alluded to that were circulated to all the chief whips. I just want to understand, because I've not seen these documents. I just want to understand where these documents clearly marked confidential or in committee, or the envelope that they were in committee or confidential. I just want to make that, to ask that, Chair, Speaker, or even when they were handed over the documents, was it made very clear to them that these documents are confidential or are in committee, as we used to with confidential documents in this council? Speaker, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Zucker. Mayor?
Speaker, if Councillor Theokola listened carefully to me, it was a sealed envelope with the names of the councillors, the chief whips on it. Chair, at that meeting, my personal assistant responded to why Councillor Laville Davis did not receive his. Subsequent to that, because he didn't fetch it there, subsequent to that, Chair, my office received a letter from Councillor Lopez, an email, and I will read it to you. Hi, Kirsty. I read from the council meeting that copies of communication between the MEC and the mayor with regard to the appointment of Director of Community Services were furnished to the whips. None of my colleagues received anything from Laville, and we cannot contact him currently. Would you be able to get copies together for me so that I can pick it up for the caucus? I can collect it tomorrow. The office was quite clear. Good day, Councillor Lopez. No problem at all. Please feel free to pop by and come collect it tomorrow as I'm working from home today. Thanks, regard. And I've instructed my personal assistants, if Councillor Lopez now wanted information on behalf of their caucus, to provide it to him. So if Councillor Laville Davis, because of either illness or to the fact that he didn't go to fetch the information because he was informed where the information is, and that I can attest, Chair, and therefore been picked up by Councillor Lopez, Chair, Councillor Davis then believed that he should not be then the person that should be investigated. Then surely Councillor Lopez should be investigated because he received that information to provide to their caucus. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Zuko, let a follow up.
Yes, Speaker, that's a follow-up. No, I think the mayor has answered me, Speaker. And I think the mayor would agree with me maybe that if you give someone an envelope that is sealed, that doesn't automatically means that the information inside the sealed envelope is confidential or in committee. So it might be anyone. I don't know who gave or what happened. It might be anyone. But seeing that we are councillors and we're representing communities and the residents out there, information that we receive through council or from council is information that we need to use when serving people outside there. So, Speaker, I don't accept that you say because an envelope was sealed, then that means those documents are confidential or it's in committee. That needs to be made very clear. And Speaker, we've seen a lot of documents or information being leaked in this organization. I don't understand why would this now be a special one? Because for me, as I understand it, there was nothing confidential in this document marked. If they were marked, then that councillor should take responsibility. But I don't see anything. Now, we can't say these were confidential, Speaker, just because of the envelopes were sealed. If you give someone documents, in any case, the envelope should be sealed. But that's my take. I think, Speaker, we would be just wasting time by trying to investigate unless we know exactly who gave it and where they really marked confidential, because it looks like that was not communicated to that were given these documents. Thanks.
Councillor Zuko, I'm a little bit confused because on the one hand, you say you never saw it, on the other hand, it looked like you did see the document because you are now sure it wasn't sealed and it wasn't confidential. So I don't know what you are implementing actually here. Councillor Lavale, the Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Speaker. You will recall at the time everything that is correct. That I was ill at the time and I could not collect any documents, and I had requested for that document to come to me, but obviously the caucus must go on, and so you know, I obviously Julie had to collect it, but I'm not, as I said, I was ill that whole period. So that's why I'm saying you're talking about whips that you must now, I'm just making a point to say that I was not there. So it's, and then point number two is, and I've been saying this, Speaker, even when you said about the item that must come to the whips, there has to be a signing, someone must sign for the documentation. And in the old days, we used to send out law enforcement and come to you, so you sign for the document to say that you're going to give it to all the whips, and then it gets dropped off at a certain place or it's get put there now. And we as councils are very busy, and you forget to pick up documents. You forget, you know, sometimes it's out of the way. So the whole system. If you want to investigate something, let's investigate the system of giving documents to people and having a proper system where people can sign for documents. But I want to reiterate that this is, again, another witch hunt. I think it is the council meeting of witch hunts today. There is no sinister, there is no malicious divulsion of information from any of the whips. And I think we must just accept that. To continue this is a witch hunt. We're going to get nowhere with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lavale. Mayor? Then Councillor Sabah.
Yes, I need to respond to
Speaker,
Speaker,
can you also Matik, I don't have a head.
Speaker,
Mayor?
let me start with
Speaker,
Councillor
please, can you involve me as well?
The item of the Director of Community Services was never out in council, in open council. It was in committee. It was never out. That's why the documentation was sealed. That's why it was closed. Now, if there is a document sent to a councillor with his name on, with his name on, sealed. For any person to open that document that was sealed, it's illegal. Not his name. Sealed. It's not for his eyes or her eyes. But I'm not quite sure. And I come from again what Councillor Zukuman tried to tell us here. Because he knows at that stage that this specific item was in committee for the eyes of councillors only. Yeah. Coming back to Councillor Davis here, I can assure you, knowing the way that my office operates and knowing the way that my peer operate, that Councillor Davis was informed prior about that information that will be dropped at a certain place and agreed to that. I can assure you. But my peer will pick that up, Chair, through her own communication, just to make sure that what happened there and the process that they follow were professional in this regard. Thank you.
Councillor Sabah, Councillor Matika, and the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think that all councillors will recall that on social media, I think the position of the individual is regional secretary of the ANC, individual with the first name of Moyisi, I think it is, had the item, the details on social media on his Facebook page, and the name of the director of corporate or community services name was divulged then. So although the mayor is correct, it was in committee, the name was divulged by the ANC at the time. So information had been leaked back then already. It makes no sense for us to go around in circles in terms of that. I would welcome the investigation, and I would recommend that we proceed and agree to an investigation. I don't know what we're achieving in terms of debating this and continuing in circles. I think that an investigation should proceed. Thank you.
Councillor Matika and then the Deputy Mayor. And also see the end of Councillor Kraus.
No, Nkosi Speaker. Speaker, mina into simple benzo ukuthi masiyapha kufela ithole. Icacile uCouncillor Lopez. Khona into afuneka ayiphendule kuyo. So Speaker, benza ucela ke investigation ingqale pha kuye straight. Singabe sitsala sithi wonke umuntu maka-investigate oyi-chief whip. Masiyapha kufela ithole. Because every councillor ethethayo igama kaCouncillor Lopez liyavela. So ndicela ke le investigation ngale pha kuye. If uhambise information ye-council okanye akahambisanga i-confidential information ye-council, then lo investigation yiyo ke ezoza nomkhombandlela if uyihambisile okanye if akahambisanga. Inkosi kakhulu Somlomo.
Deputy Mayor.
Translation, please.
Deputy Mayor. Okay. Interpreter.
Thank you, Speaker. I would like this whole thing to go straight to Councillor Lopez, because looking at this information that she looks at, she was one who leaked the information, but I think that the investigation must go straight to the Councillor Lopez so we can figure out if she leaked it or she did not leak it, because we're trying to drag all councillors of the chief whip into this, but every time every councillor says something, Councillor Lopez's name is mentioned. So I think this must go straight to investigation, must go straight to Councillor Lopez, and then she must be investigating the whole situation. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Interpreter. Deputy Mayor. Deputy Mayor, your hand is up. Deputy Mayor.
No, Speaker. I think from my side, I think I'm covered, Speaker. Because there's no point for us to justify You know, here we have made, the mayor have made a proposal and I've supported his proposal that your office need to begin with an investigation. And when we just ask for investigation, Speaker, because this information is very sensitive and very serious at the very same time. You know, those councillors, because from where I'm sitting, this thing came from some of us, from some of our colleagues, and that's basically where we wanted us to go, that we do a proper investigation, you know, in terms of dealing with this issue, Speaker. You know, so hence I'm saying that there's no point for us to justify. Let that investigation tell us as to, I mean, how did that information land in the hand of those people? Thank you. And we need to move now. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Deputy Mayor. Councillor Zuko and then the Mayor, and then we're going to close on this item.
No, Speaker, but my hand has been up.
Sorry, Councillor Crouch, it was you. Apologies.
Thank you,
Councillor
Speaker.
Crouch?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, you see, this thing of confidential information. Now, I listen what Councillor Sabah is saying. But in the in-committee meeting, Speaker, when we were discussing in-committee stuff, the next day, the constituency head, Dion George, had the whole item on Facebook, on the DA's wall. So Councillor Sabah mustn't come and say, Moisi mentioned names. It was an in-committee item, and how did it come from in-committee onto a Facebook wall? So I think what we should start doing here, Speaker, is I agree. We should start investigating this nonsense. It can't be right that we take items in committee and the next thing it's on Facebook, the next thing you get served. It can never be right. So Councillor Sabah, I think you need to rethink what you are saying. Thank you, Speaker.
Councillor Zuko and then the Mayor, I think we're going to have to conclude on this matter, which the Mayor has started on.
Yes. No, thank you. I thought we concluded, Speaker. I was going to another one.
Okay.
Then I'll wait for the Mayor to conclude on this one. Then we go to another one, Speaker. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor?
Speaker, you could recall right at the beginning I've asked whether the way that we operate on Teams and virtual meetings, whether all those other legislation, those things are still applicable towards that. You see, Chair, there's a bigger picture behind this. And you can understand why I'm getting concerned the way that we're currently operating. I had a meeting with the Greater Knysna Rich People Business Association. And on that Teams meeting, Councillor Lopez was part of that meeting. So when I raised and agreed Councillor Lopez on that meeting, it was a meeting with me as the Mayor. Mr. Richardson answer. Now, Chair, that in itself creates serious questions towards me. How do we know as we sit here and in a meeting that Mr. Son is not listening on our meeting? Not via YouTube, but via a link sent to a councillor. And that is my fundamental problem, that the way that this municipality does not operate. That creates the opportunity for these, called the accountable group, which I call now the corrupt group, for them, Chair, to go ahead with these type of things. Because they are sitting in this meeting, Chair, and I hope they're listening to this to them now. They're sitting in this meeting, getting information from councillors in order to deal with these things. And we must be honest with one another here, Chair. I said it earlier. There's no way that this council could ever be forced to take decisions based on court actions, litigations. It cannot happen.
Yeah.
Then we must give this council to the accountability group of Knysna and the ratepayers, that they understand. But Chair, the way we operate, we're heading for disaster. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Luzuko. Let me give Councillor Kraus, maybe she's on something else. The same item, then I will give to you, Councillor Luzuko. Councillor Kraus?
It's an old
The old end. Thank you, Councillor Luzuko. Over to you.
Thank you, Speaker. No, Speaker, talking about investigation, Speaker, I'm aware that there was a complaint that was laid by 2 officials against a councillor. We haven't seen anything from that, Speaker. Are we going to see anything coming to this council, Speaker? Thank you.
Can you please be specific? Because I don't know.
I'm
Have you
aware,
got a
Speaker, that
document?
they were.
Have you received?
I'm aware.
No, you're not aware. Have you received a document?
No, Speaker, I'm aware.
Have you received a document?
No, Speaker, I don't have to be
No,
aware by
we don't
document.
discuss gossip here.
It's not gossip, Speaker. That's why I'm saying I'm aware. I
not
can
going
tell
to
you.
allow you. Have you received a document?
Speaker, people don't become aware only by documents. That's what I'm trying to
Have you
tell you
received
here.
a document?
Speaker, you cannot only be aware of a situation by a document.
No. That is
There's
why we're in
many
this
ways
mess.
where you become
Have
aware
you
of.
received a document? If it's in my office, I will deal with it in my office.
But where is it, Speaker? Because I'm aware, I know it's been lodged. A complaint was lodged. I know about it.
And?
Speaker.
So what's the problem?
No, I'm asking, Speaker, are we still
I'm saying to you, if it's in my office, I will deal with it.
You know, so are you telling us here in this meeting, Speaker, you're not aware of such a complaint?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just saying, if that complaint is in my office, I'm going to deal with it.
But that's what I want to know, Speaker. Do you have it? Are you going to deal with it? That's what I'm asking you.
I'm telling you, if it's in my office, I will deal with it.
So, Speaker, you actually not one.
That is what I'm telling you. Just that, Councillor Zuko, and that is where it ends. If it's in my office, I will deal with it.
But if it's in your office, you should be able to tell us. If it's in your office.
Can I get your issue?
Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Councillor Chikolo is obviously referring to the complaint made against me, which you are busy dealing with. I have responded to you and I've yet to receive a response or reply from you, so I'm still waiting. And that was to do with the audit committee. But matters aside, I just wanted to clarify that the DA, Dion George constituency head, did put a public statement out. The statement was not indicating any name. It just spoke about the irregular appointment of the Director of Community Services, but no name was mentioned in that item. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Matika.
Speaker.
Yes, Deputy
That's
Mayor.
fine, Speaker. I wanted to call Councillor Chokola into order. Thank you very much.
Deputy Mayor.
Move.
No, Speaker. Thank you very much, Speaker. No, it's fine, Speaker. Let me withdraw. Let me withdraw. In fact, what I was going to say, because from where I'm sitting, what Councillor Sabah is responding on now, we have passed most that item. That nonsense of Dion George writing about incoming very confidential stuff of this municipality. All of us, we know it's a public information. We know about it. So Speaker, can we move with this meeting? Thank you very much.
Councillors, thank you so much. We came to the end of this open agenda.
Speaker, can I ask my question?
Which question now? Because we have passed the issue of question.
No, Speaker, I wanted to ask, man, why is the veteran Chokolo number 5 on the PR list? Why is Kwinana not part of the list? Why is Kwinana not part of the list? He's a veteran. Supposed to be part of the list.
Thank you so much for attending this meeting, Councillor Matika.
Of that list. Kwinana is supposed to be part of the list, Speaker.
Hey, councillors, we are going to adjourn this meeting now and go into the in-committee item. Thank you for the resident that was able to tune into this meeting. All officials, the audit committee. Thank you, councillors. This meeting is now adjourned. We have to go to
Goyana nezinye kodwa uxakwe ngofonile wadini yakho.
Awu Sibale.
Fonile pha.
Sibale, why i-veteran bayibeka ku-number 5?
Bizawuthathwa sonke sasikhokhelo sakho sibekwe ecaleni.
Sibala kongxaki ziphathe ziprocess eyenzile wena why bekubekwe ku-number 5 Sibala?
Sawubhala omnye umbala wona. Hoyana naloo nto ngokwena sawuphinda sikutshintshe. Singatshintsha nakulaa PR list.
Thini Sibala?
Usacinga number 1 sakususa phaa kulaa number 1. Sokujula kwa-10.
Sibala ndiyikho elistini Sibala.
Yayazi ke ilist sitshintsha kwi-region. It's no problem.
Yeah, but why didn't you tell me you and me were together today? Why you didn't tell me you are number 5? Athi Okolo. Jy moenie skaam wees nie, my ma se kind, moenie skaam wees nie.
Sibala ubalekile, Councillor Kraus. Let's go to in committee.